Welcome to Turning the Page, Lexington Public Library's podcast where we discuss library happenings, take a behind-the-scenes look at different parts of the library, and of course, book recommendations and author interviews. I'm your host, Jennifer. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy. Welcome to another episode of Turning the Page. Today, we're talking all about anticipated beach reads.
Yes.
I will share that some of this list is from Goodreads. They do have an anticipated beach reads. If you do a little searching, you can find their list. It's a really great list. But also check out a really great list from Publishers Weekly for their Summer Reads 2022, which is a very good list as well. First two, I'm going to talk about our fiction. And the first one is by Sloane Crosby. And if you read one of her essays called I Was Told There Would Be Cake, she now has a book of fiction that's coming out, which sounds really fascinating. And I'm going to give you a little information about that, it's called Cult Classic, which is supposed to be weird fun. It's basically a thriller featuring a New York City heroine who may or may not be a target of a very contemporary, oddly romantic cult, which sounds kind of interesting. So, I love cult. Okay, I'm interested. And the other one is someone who I think a lot of our listeners probably has read or knows about, which is Eileen Henner Brand, who is the queen of Nantucket fiction. So she has a new summer book called The Hotel Nantucket, which is an intriguing story of a derelict hotel and a team of locals who try to restore it to its glory.
That's awesome. And she's just kind of a perennial beach read.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Author. Two more fiction that we are excited about are Acts of Violet by Margarita Montemor. This innovative mystery from Margarita Montemor, author of Una Out of Order, centers on world-famous magician Violet Volk and her permanent disappearing act. 10 years ago, Violet vanished in the midst of her last public performance. Now her sister Sasha is trying to solve the mystery. But why is Sasha suddenly sleepwalking every night?
Ooh, bum, bum, bum.
Yes. And then The Many Daughters of A. Fong Moy by Jamie Ford. Winner of this summer's unofficial Best Story Idea premise, Jamie Ford's foray into historical fiction / magical realism introduces poet Dorothy Moy, who's concerned that her crippling depression will be passed to her daughter. Through an experimental treatment, Dorothy connects with past generations of women in her Chinese family, including a World War II nurse, a little girl in San Francisco, and the first Chinese woman to set foot in America.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds fascinating.
It really does. It really does. It makes me wonder what that experimental treatment is.
One of my favorite books that I read a couple summers ago was In the Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. And Ruth Ware is back with a new book called The It Girl. This is going to be a book that's supposedly written in the style of Agatha Christie, Josephine Tey, and Dorothy L. Sayers. Her new whodunit begins in the Tony environs of Oxford University, where a vivacious young student, April Cloutis Cliveden, is murdered. 10 years later, her friend Hannah Jones discovers that the convicted killer may or may not have been innocent all along. Sounds really good. This comes out in July. Maybe, so I'm not going to say the date because you never know.
I feel like mysteries are best in summer.
I love mysteries.
I don't know why that is. I think most people would prefer a mystery on a rainy day or something. But for me, I always think of them on a trip for something to keep you really engaged as you're traveling. So I've always considered mysteries to be a really good summer.
I don't believe I've ever gone to the beach without a mystery.
Yeah.
Because that would just be terrible.
Yes.
That's my personal opinion.
We've got More Than You'll Ever Know by Katie Gutierrez. One of the summer's buzziest debut novels, More Than You'll Ever Know, toggles between two timelines and stories. In the first story, set in the 1980s, international banker Dolores Riviera leads a double life with families in Texas and Mexico. In the second story, a true crime writer in 2017 investigates the murder of Riviera's husband by her other husband,
Ooh.
which just sounds so compelling. I'm so excited about that one.
It sounds good.
It sounds like if you're really into, some of the series podcasts, the true crime podcasts, any
Oh,
of the,
yeah.
Documentaries that have been on Netflix, it sounds like it'll be
Yeah,
right up your alley.
Oh, yeah, because you always think, well, who did it? Or then you'll think, oh, there was another husband? Like,
Yes.
ooh.
Oh, so the one husband may have found out about the other. So we'll
Ooh.
see. The other mystery that we are looking forward to is called The House Across the Lake, and it's by Riley Sager. Superstar pseudonym Riley Sager, author of Final Girls, is back with another twisty thriller, this time concerning a widowed actress, a pair of binoculars, and a dangerous obsession. Casey Fletcher has been drinking and spying on the perfect couple in the house across the lake. It's amazing. When one of them disappears, Casey learns the dangers of drunken voyeurism the hard way.
That actually sounds pretty fun.
It sounds amazing. Because I love novels like that, where someone is across the way, they have seen something, they're not sure what they've seen.
Yeah.
They are not the most reliable narrator. So those are some of the best mysteries, in my opinion.
Sounds like we're finding some really good stuff.
Yes, these lists are looking really good for the summer.
So our next one is a sci-fi. It's titled The Daughter of Dr. Moreau, and it's by Sylvia Morano Garcia. And H.G. Wells' 1896 classic, The Island of Dr. Moreau, gets a wicked reimagining in this latest scary story from the author of Mexican Gothic. In 19th century Mexico, Carlotta Moreau lives on a remote estate with her mad scientist father and a menagerie of human and animal hybrids. When a dashing young man enters the frame, all hell breaks loose. Call it a historical romance horror.
That sounds so good.
Plus, if you ever go back, if you like to watch old classic movies, you always find that particular story in movie form that is so... It's a really bizarre story.
Yeah.
So if you ever get a chance to watch one of those movies, oh my gosh, you'll be like, what the heck?
Yeah, this one just seems like it's going to be just so cool.
Yeah, I love it.
So a memoir that's coming out that we are looking forward to is The Man Who Could Move Clouds, a memoir by Ingrid Rojas Contreras. A unique kind of memoir, The Man Who Could Move Clouds is a journey into family history and real magic from award-winning author Ingrid Rojas Contreras, author of The Fruit of the Drunken Tree. Born into a lineage of Colombian fortune tellers and healers, Contreras' life takes an odd turn when a head injury prompts a bout of amnesia.
Oh, wow.
In the foggy aftermath, Contreras investigates her family's magical heritage.
Oh, that sounds fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, also you think about how many, if you listen to true crime, again, going back to true crime podcasts, if you go back to that, there's always stories where they find someone and they don't know who they are. They're in the hospital, and then the police are left trying to, like, who is this person? Trying to figure it out. They're like, so it just makes me think of that.
Yeah, because you think about, how many disappearances could be someone has completely forgotten who they are.
Oh, yeah.
And so they've made this whole new life. So
I mean, so yeah, stranger things have happened. Stranger than fiction sometimes.
yes, fascinating.
So 2 young adult books that we're really excited about. The first one is by Gina Chen, and it's titled Violet Made of Thorns. The usual palace intrigue goes insanely high stakes when a morally ambitious court prophet awakens a sinister curse that could wipe out the entire kingdom. Gina Chen's fantasy debut, the first of a proposed duology, explores the intriguing idea of what happens when the kingdom's official mystic procrastinator has trouble telling the truth. And the second is actually another installment of a very popular series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes called The Final Gamut. This is the 3rd installment of the Inheritance game series. Mystery specialist Jennifer Lynn Barnes returns readers to the labyrinthine Hawthorne house, where every room poses a new puzzle, riddle, or conundrum. Teenager Avery Grams stands to inherit millions if she can figure it all out, but a new stranger has arrived in the mansion, and all the rules have changed. No fair.
Oh,
I read the first one and I really liked it.
cool.
And it's really funny. I was actually in some store. I don't remember where it was. And I watched this girl. She was like maybe pre-teenage, following behind her 2 younger siblings and the mom. And she actually had the second book as she was reading behind the mom, and her mom was telling her to put it down, but she was actually just reading as she was walking.
I love that.
And I was like, oh, that's a girl after my own heart.
Yes.
That would have bbeen me in the grocery store or whatever.
Yeah.
So shout out to her, wherever she is.
Wherever you are,
the new book's coming
adore
out.
You. The third one's coming out.
The third one's coming out.
I'm sure you know.
Find out.
So we've got a romance.
Ooh, okay.
This one is actually a sequel to one that came out in 2020. Boyfriend Material is the original. So this one is called Husband Material by Alexis Hall.
We moved up.
Yes. The review says the title of this sequel was sort of inevitable. So returning readers will find Luke and Oliver still together after all that business. Whatever the business was. We're not spoiling.
Read the first one too.
Yes. And now looking at the next step in their relationship. Author Alexis Hall summons the dilemma familiar to so many couples. All our friends are getting married. What do we do next? So it promises to be a really cute little romantic sequel, which is neat to have a romance with an established relationship. A lot of times it's the getting together story. It's more rare to find the romance where they're already together.
That's
and
a really good
figuring
point.
out where they're going to go. So I love that there's a sequel.
Yes, because I think most people read romances just like you said, for the beginning.
Yep.
For the fun parts, not
How
the middle parts.
How they get together, not how they stay together, which I think is a really interesting take there. And so we'll wrap it up with our anticipated horror novel called Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. Homecoming can be very dark when your father is a serial killer.
Ooh.
Vera's mother calls her back to the family home, a place full of secrets, and a new tenant who seems focused on using her childhood for artistic inspiration. This new novel from genre-defying Sarah Gailey, Magic for Liars and The Echo Wife, is being described as spine-tingling, intense, and claustrophobic.
Ooh.
Yikes.
That sounds scary.
Yes.
Sounds interesting. I believe that all our books that we have mentioned, if you want more reviews, more books from the Goodreads list, go to their website. There's a really great list of books.
All of these titles come out June, July, and August, so if you check any of them out, please let us know what you think. Thanks, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm Erin, the producer for Turning the Page. Welcome to our segment called Behind the Scenes. Each month, I'll take a step out from behind the scenes to introduce you to someone else at the library whose work is also typically out of the public eye. Today, I'll be talking to Doug Tattershall, Community Arts Coordinator, about the gallery spaces at the library. Thank you, Doug, for joining us for Behind the Scenes. So tell us a little bit about the history of the gallery space here at Central.
Okay. The Central Library Gallery has been here since 1989 when the Central Library opened. So it was a part of the plan for the new library. It was sort of an exciting time, I think, moving from the Gratz Park location, which, if anybody's familiar with that building, I believe the total floor space in that building equals about one floor in the Central Library.
Oh, wow.
So it was a big change for Lexington. So they included a gallery and a theater from the very start.
Nice. So how can people come to the gallery?
Well, the gallery's open whenever the library is open. So, and it's right there on the first floor, windows looking out on Main Street. So it's a high-profile spot, but it is a spot that people walk right by sometimes. I remember a story of someone who was actually working at the library, and she'd been here a couple months, and finally she said, "I see you going in and out of that room all the time. What is it?" I said, "Well, it's a gallery." And I was just shocked, and it made me realize that just because you're on the first floor, you have to remind people and point it out to people so they don't just walk by. One of the challenges of just the arts program in general for the library is that we're trying to provide cultural opportunities in a place where people are in the building for a totally different purpose. So we're trying to grab attention. That's a part of what we have to do.
What other branches have gallery spaces?
Right now, the East Side branch has a gallery. It's a 30-foot wall. That's the hallway, basically, that runs from the main entrance into the children's department, teen department, and meeting room space. So it's right there, kind of front and center, but and it gets actually a little more traffic just because it is out in the open.
Yeah. Do the pieces that are shown in the different spaces have different requirements?
There are two really different spaces. The Central Library Gallery is a dedicated gallery. It's about 1,500 square feet, And actually, because of that, I'm trying to focus on three-dimensional art as much as possible in that space. There's not a lot of space, just generally community-wide, there's not a lot of space for three-dimensional art. The artists that have come into the gallery have really said, wow, thank you for focusing on 3D art, because there really are limited opportunities. Whereas the East Side Gallery is really a wall. We can't really branch out. So it's actually very different. It's totally different exhibits. They aren't traveling from one location to the other because they are so different.
Yeah. Are you hoping to get gallery spaces in more branches?
I am hoping to get gallery spaces in more spaces. My goal ultimately is to have some sort of gallery in every location. I believe the New Village branch will have gallery space. And I should also mention, because and it was out of my mind sort of because right before COVID, the Tates Creek Photography Club had an interest in exhibiting on an ongoing basis their photography. So we'd actually had it planned and in mind, and then actually has been realized. So there is an exhibit space now in Tates Creek as well.
Wonderful.
And it's managed more or less by the Tates Creek Photography Club, which meets at the Tates Creek branch. It has for years. So it's kind of been nice to make that connection with the physical space that they're meeting in and also the work that they're doing.
That's great. How do you arrange for the exhibits in the gallery?
I try to work on a year-to-year basis. So, for example, this summer, I'll start thinking about 2023 and try to schedule it out as much as possible for both of those galleries for the entire year. And one of the nice things is that in the course of kind of looking at spaces, ultimately we want to be an art space, not just in our formal spaces, not just in our galleries, not just in our theater. So, for example, we had the jazz series at 4 of our branches in April for Jazz Appreciation Month, which was sort of an extension of the theater not being available at the time. It sort of got us to think about other spaces. But what I've kind of learned as I look around is that there are other places to exhibit. So some things, I don't try to schedule those, and the nice thing about that is you have that combination of planned space, and you really need it to be planned to have the best, I think, possible exhibits, but also a spontaneous space. So when opportunities do come up last minute, you can still find a place for them.
Great. Well, since this is a library podcast, we have to ask, what are you reading?
What am I reading? I just started the Snowden book, Permanent Record. Yeah, it's kind of chilling. I've just started it. So it's fun as well as chilling, because he talks a lot about growing up. Right now, I'm right at the beginning of it. He talks about growing up in the 90s and being born in the 80s, no internet really for public consumption, and into that transition of becoming a gamer and an internet nerd, and how that happened in the early, the first decade really of the internet. So that's an interesting part, just from a historical standpoint. In the prologue, he's already, where the story's going, so it has this chilling part about privacy and sort of the surveillance culture we live in right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Doug, for coming on.
Yeah,
really
thanks
great
for having
to talk
me.
To you.
Yeah, great.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Hi, this is Ashley Sipple-McGraw, manager of the Eastside Branch, and I'm going to tell you about July 2022 summer events at Lexington Public Library. For a full list of summer programming, visit lexpublib.org/summer, and some programs may require registration. On July 5th and 6th, the Shark Tank Science Show will be happening. Please check the online calendar for specific branch details. On July 6th at 4 p.m. will be the Make and Sell Printables Online for adults at the Village Branch. On July 7th at 2 p.m., there's the Spy Training Academy for kindergarten through 5th grade at Eastside. At 3 p.m., the Spaghetti and Marshmallow Towers for ages 6 through 12 at the Tates Creek Branch. At 6 p.m., the Mystery Community, a book club for adults at Northside. On July 9th at 10 a.m., the Second Saturday Gaming for all ages at the Beaumont Branch. On July 11th, 13th, and 15th is the Get Creative On the Move Art Studio for ages 3 to 11. Please check the online calendar for specific branch details. On July 11th, 11 a.m., the Teddy Bear Picnic, ages 2 to 5 at Beaumont. On July 12th at 2 p.m., the Preschoolers Explore Construction will be at the Eastside Branch. On July 13th, all day, will be Building Dreams, the History of Lexington Public Library Buildings at Central. At 1 o'clock p.m., will be the Community Crafters Weaving Workshop for adults and seniors at Eastside. At 5:30 p.m., Growing Microgreens at Village. On July 16th at 1 p.m. will be the World Cafe for adults at Northside. At 2 o'clock p.m., Crafter Noon for adults and seniors at Beaumont. On July 18th at 2 p.m., Decorate a Horse, ages 5 through 12 at Central. On July 19th at 2 p.m., Active Art Studio, K through 5th grade at Eastside. At 2 o'clock p.m., Outdoor Art Play, ages 6 to 12 at the Northside branch. At 2 o'clock p.m., Switch It Up for middle school and high school at the Taste Creek branch. On July 20th at 2:30 p.m., Virtual Vacation for ages 6 through 12 at the Beaumont branch. On July 21st at 10 a.m., Create a Comic for ages 6 through 12 at the Village branch. 11 a.m., Let's Move Toddler and Preschool Dance Party at Tates Creek. At 3:30 p.m., Pendulum Paint at the Village location. At 5:30 p.m., Alzheimer's Awareness Series for adults and seniors at the Tates Creek branch. On July 23rd at 11 a.m. is the STEAM Camp Showcase at Central. On July 25th and 26th will be the Animology with Bob Tarter. Please check the online calendar for branch-specific details. On July 26th at 2 o'clock p.m., Classic Films Rebecca for adults and seniors at the Beaumont branch. And on July 27th, 28th, and 29th is the Ice-tastic Snow Cone Truck Visit for ages 12 and under. Please check the online calendar for branch-specific details. On July 28th at 1 o'clock p.m. is Community Crafters We Love Crochet for adults and seniors at Eastside. And on July 29th at 11 a.m., Preschoolers Explore Fort Building at Central.
Thanks for listening to Turning the Page, a podcast brought to you by Lexington Public Library staff. If you've enjoyed listening, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you have any questions or suggestions for future podcasts, you can email us at elibrarian@lexpublib.org. That's elibrarian@lexpublib.org. I'm Jennifer, and we'll be back to turn another page.